All right, let's find what 15 minutes is of 1 hour as a decimal. What's 15 minutes of 1 hour as a decimal? So the first thing I want to do is write up and summarize what we have. So 15 minutes. What is 15 minutes? I'll abbreviate it, 15 minutes of 1 hour. Let's have a look at the diagram. What's 15 minutes of a whole hour? So what's interesting here is we need to have the same units, because what we got now is we got 15 minutes to 1 hour. Minutes and hours don't work, so we're going to make them both minutes. So 15 minutes to 1 hour, it's the same as saying 15 minutes as to how many minutes in an hour? As you know, there's 60. 60 minutes. So 15 minutes of 60 minutes. So let's now turn it into a fraction because we want to work it as a decimal. So 15 over 60. 15 over 60. Now what does that mean, 15 over 60? How do we convert that into a decimal? Because we need 15 minutes of 1 hour to be as a decimal. So to change a fraction to a decimal, what do? You might remember from fractions that you divide the bottom number into the top, the 60 into the 15. And you also notice that the 15 is smaller than 60. So you might ask, how does 60 go into 15? That's where decimals come in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's divide 60 into 15. So we'll write down 60 minutes into 15 minutes. All right. Now, it doesn't look that easy, 60 into 15. So what I want to do is get rid of that 0 there, so it just becomes 6. So what I'm going to do is divide the left-hand side by 10. And if I divide the left-hand side by 10, what do I do here? I also divide that by 10. So when we divide by 10, what happens? We got 60, whole number, a whole 60. The decimal place is there, it's actually invisible. And if we divide by 10, it's got 1 0. We move the decimal place to the left 1 decimal place because it's got 1 0. So let's move it to the left. So we go left 1 decimal place. So let's move to the left 1 decimal place. So we go 1 decimal place, so it goes there, so it's 6.0. So that, in other words, it equals 6. So that turns into 6. All right, 15 divided by 10. 15 divided by 10, let me do it in black. 15 divided by 10, if I divide that by 10, 15 is 15 and there's a decimal there, you don't actually see it. And we're going to move the decimal point to the left by 1 point. So let's move over to 1 point right there. So it's 1.5. The decimal point is between the 1 and the 5. So 15 divided by 10 is 1.5. So we write in here 1.5. 1.5. So let's divide into that. So now we got 6 divided into 1.5. That's easier to work with than 60 into 15, which is the same thing. All right, what do we do now? Well, how many times does 6 go into 1? Because it's 1.5, we're just going to go into the 1. 6 doesn't go into 1, so straight away we use our friend called the decimal. So straight away we put a decimal, so we put 0 and then a point. Now it's 6 into the whole thing, both of them 15. How many times does 6 go into 15 now? It goes in 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 from 15, in other words, 15 take away 12 is a remainder of 3. 15 minus 12 is 3, so the remainder goes here. Add a 0. Because we're on the right of the decimal point, you automatically add a 0. Okay, how many times does 6 go into 30? Goes in 5 times. 6 5s are 30. So there you go, 0.25. So, as a decimal, what is 15 minutes of 1 hour as a decimal is 0.25. And you can see in the diagram there, it's 0.25 of a whole hour. So there you go. Hope that helps.